you're in the Northeast, you're experiencing some cold ass crazy weather like we are, it is pretty brutal. Single digits today and below zero tonight. So when we get back to the house, I'm gonna go over some of the stuff we're getting prepped for tonight and how we get prepared for storms and possible power outages and stuff. So stick around, check it out. So I finally got some time. I figured I'd finish this video about how we are prepared for winter. We had a polar vortex a few weeks back that brought some crazy temps, negative 15 degrees, never experienced that in my life. And we did lose power for a couple hours, so I had started making a video kind of touching on what we have going on here on our homestead. And you know, obviously that includes a generator. And I just figured I'd go through a quick video and just show you guys what we got and what we'd like to implement in the future before the next one hits, right? So starting with the generator, we have a little 4,000 watt Predator that I got from my old boss through work trade, and it's smaller than I'd like. I don't know much about the unit, never looked up the cost or anything like that, but I'll give you a quick rundown. This, you know, shadow out of here, this is your typical setup on a generator. 4,000 is pretty you know, pretty common size, I would say. You can find in big box stores. Like I said, I don't know where a Predator is sold. I want to say Harbor Freight probably, as you'll come to find. I love Harbor Freight for stuff. You get a little cheaper prices, does the same shit, so why not? Most people just run extension cords off a generator, and you're kind of limited to what you can do with that, you know. And being in a house, you got quite a few things that you'd really like to try to keep the power on for, you know. Up here in the hills, we are on a well. All right, so believe it or not, your well is your biggest draw of power in terms of wattage or amperage. Luckily, you know, in having a well, you have an expansion tank down your basement and a filter tank. Luckily, your pump is probably running, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times a day, depending on how much water you use. And for us, it's not a big deal, but that's a big consideration if you're running a generator, because that's where you're gonna draw your most power. So you just wanna make sure that you don't have all of your switches, which we're about to go inside and I'll go over, on the panel. You don't wanna have all your switches on. I leave my pump off, and if it was a situation where we were out of power for multiple days, I would shut a few things off, flip that switch on the pump and let that run, fill that tank maybe twice a day, just to make sure we had water. And you'll know based on your water pressure going down in your house, you know, in your sink, kitchen sink, and if you're trying to take a shower. So basically, our setup, we have a generator panel that's hooked into our main electrical panel. And what that allows us to do is run a few things in that panel in case of a power outage. So we run a cord here. We run a big cord that runs through the garage into the basement and plugs directly into the panel. I'm gonna pick this video up over there and I'll go over a little bit of what that panel is and what it does. Okay, while I'm coming through, we'll just take a pit stop and I'll show you there's not great light in here, but this is our tank. So this is where our main comes in, right? You have a pressure gauge, you have a filter, hits your expansion tank, hits your filter tank, fires through the house, okay? Pretty simple dimple. I'm actually due to change the filter on this. We've been in this house for over almost 2 years now, okay? So we're due. I'll do a video when I do that. I've never done it, so that'll be interesting, but I'll shed some light on that process. It should be pretty straightforward, and we'll also recharge the neutralizer as well. Anyway, let's go over to the panel and we'll pick up where we left off. All right, sorry for the crappy lighting down here. Do some stuff. It's kind of a mess down here. So this is our boiler, kind of our mechanical room in our basement, air handler behind me, and panel in the corner. Let me just show you. Let me grab my phone, get my flashlight out, get some better light here. Okay, so main panel, generator panel. Me and my father took some time and went through and labeled some of this stuff, trying to chase some wires into the actual panel to figure out what the hell it went to. I'm gonna find out, and we'll get into it in a second here. Some of this stuff didn't work. So this C breaker, right on this side, that C breaker actually didn't power that outlet that the freezer is hooked up to. There's a few other ones that are kind of iffy. The wiring in this house is kind of wacky, but I thought we isolated that, and that kind of sucks because I was trying to maintain power for our chest freezer down here in the basement, and the other outlet that's on it is the a second fridge that we got down here. So unfortunately, we got to do some exploratory on that. But I'll get into that in a second. So anyway, power comes in from our generator, plugs in, boom, onto that 4-prong plug, right? Okay, you can see this is all on line voltage right now. All these switches are down. So basically, when you lose power, order of operations, right? You got this plug ran out. It's a big dog plug. I still got the cord laying around. We're kind of messy right now in our lives. Runs through, boop, boop, hooks up to the generator, right? So you come over here, hit that main breaker up there. All right, that's the main to the house. I have a 200 amp service for this house. Panel's outdated, it's old as hell. Hopefully that will change soon. Anywho, hit that main breaker, right? Plug in your generator and get that generator running. Before you do that, you're gonna want to switch all these to off, get that generator running, and then once everything's honky-dory, you come over and you say, okay, I want to switch breaker A to on, so my boiler's always got power. Okay, my air handler, AHU, I want to make sure that one's on. And the well, like I said, I would only turn that on a few times a day when I notice water pressure going down the house. Okay, the boiler is not going to run all day, right? It's only going to run to satisfy your thermostat call. You really don't have to worry about how much power you're drawing in terms of the boiler, and even the air handler too, which ours is just a hot water coil fed to an air handler. Is literally just a fan in a box. We have a hot water coil, that's our heat source, runs to the boiler. Okay, if you had a gas-fired furnace, it'd be a different story. And this is in relation to porous hot air. I'll probably do another video down the road about heating systems and go a little bit more in depth so people can better understand what the hell kind of system they have in their house and how it operates. But anywho, yeah, so that's our setup. This thing is ancient, but it's a Weissman. It's like the V-dub of boilers. I really don't want to change it before we sell this house. I don't have the money for it. So luckily she still runs strong. I actually got to do a service on this and change the nozzle and the oil filter at the tank. I got one a while back and I checked it. I'll check the chamber again. It was actually fine. So I've been trying to make it through winter without having to do it. Air filter, keep those up on your systems as well. Again, I'll do an in-depth video on heating systems down the road here. So that's basically it for our generator setup. But like I was saying earlier, unfortunately, this fridge, this is in the basement. Don't mind if I do. This fridge, this chest freezer, sorry, like I said, the house is a mess right now, and our fridge upstairs doesn't run off of that generator panel, which sucks. So we have some exploratory to do. Like I said, me and my dad went through and updated some of these outlets that feed the garage and down here in hopes that we could keep this these systems isolated and running. With that in mind, knowing that they don't run, how can we keep it cold in the fridge? And what I want to do is, especially in winter, is fill up some old water jugs and just keep them outside, let them freeze thaw, doesn't really matter. If they split, just get a new one. You can get cheap shitty jugs of water at a gas station, and basically if you lose power and you don't have power in your fridge, you can just come out, grab that jug of frozen water and stick it in your fridge, and it's going to help keep your fridge down at temp. Ours got up to like 52. We were only out of power for like 3 hours, 4 hours, so it didn't really make a difference. But in a pinch where you're going to have no power for days, it would prove pretty wise to freeze a couple jugs of water and put them in the fridge to help maintain that temp for you, and try to limit your opening of that fridge. Okay, with that being said, I would also limit how much power you're drawing, period. I mean, like I said, we have a couple switches for I think it was kitchen lights, I know hall outlets, and like a couple other switches that powered something funky. I have to go through and look at it again. I can do an update video down the road, but the wiring in this house is wacky. So having the hall outlet was nice to keep our phones charged, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, try to maintain a status quo, just kind of hunker down. And we also have secondary heat, which doesn't throw a lot, but I'll go up and show you the wood stove. And having that as a backup does help a little bit. And keeping some candles in the house, having some meals on hand that you don't need power for, and you have a wood stove that you can heat something up. A hot meal is great. If not, make sure you have some snacks, some stuff that you can subsist on for the time being, right? So go upstairs and I'll show you our stove setup, and that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. All right, so here's our little setup. Little wood stove and a fireplace. Not a great setup, honestly, but kind of fits the aesthetic. It's more for looks than it is for super functionality, if you would. So ideally you'd put like an insert into a fireplace like this in a situation like this where a plate covers this entire hole. Your firebox is pretty standard. You pipe it out your flue, but you also have a fan built in that really throws the heat out. The problem with a little wood stove like this that is made to be freestanding in a room is it's only going to throw heat off the top and it's getting trapped in there. So add a little fan. It helps push a little bit of the air out, but nothing special. This is a little Vermont castings that our friends Joe and Hannah gifted us. This thing's sweet. Cool little design, kind of like a catalytic design with a damper that shuts in there and forces the fire up and over a fire brick, so it has more of a complete combustion. But anywho, having some extra heat source is nice in those crazy weather events. Like I said a few weeks ago, that polar vortex was real deal. I've never experienced negative 15-degree temps in my life, especially I mean, at least here locally in Western Massachusetts. Yeah, that sucked. Concerns are freezing pipes. I don't know your setup. If you're in a house, or if you're looking, if you're an aspiring homeowner, or if you're already in a home, or you're a homesteader, trying to find ways to be better prepared. Your big ticket items are really electricity, food, conserving your food that's in the fridge, heat, and that's pretty much it to help you weather those storms. So with that, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I was trying to keep it sweet and simple, and just wrap up what I had started a few weeks ago when we had that power outage. Life's been pretty crazy, so just trying to find the time and energy to do videos. More to come. Yeah, if you find any value in this, and this channel is going to be pretty complex. Being a multifaceted man means being prepared for anything. Home maintenance is a big part of it, so there'll be a lot more videos on this in depth, but you can expect a lot more than just that. So hopefully you can glean some good information from this and stay prepared, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, peace.